Welcome into the AMCAP Home Loans Content Creation Studio. I am Zach Walker, your Business Development Director and bearded funny man with AMCAP Home Loans, joined today by the man, the myth, the legend himself, Sean Stevens of Fair Texas Title. Sean, how are you, buddy?
Hey, I'm phenomenal after that introduction.
That's right. Well, look, you have to call a spade. And so, I was thinking about this video this morning driving to work, and I just want to be like you when I grow up.
Well,
my man's like at least like 45. Got the gym and track record, and then some. No, but joined today by Sean Stevens, Fair Texas Title, and we're gonna pose a question that I didn't realize carried the significance that it carried when I was buying real estate until I got into the real estate business and had to deal with some very challenging situations. And that question is, I go out, I borrow some money from AMCAP Home Loans. Joe, the realtor, finds me the house. He finds me my dream home. I put my offer in, I get it accepted. And now a title company has to step in, and they're going to take that transaction. They're going to close that transaction. And does it matter where you close that transaction? And so for those of you that don't know, the title company is responsible for doing myriad tasks, but most of all, making sure that property is clean and clear and ready to be transferred from one owner to another, because there are certain encumbrances that can be placed upon real estate. Debt, for instance, is a lien. It's an encumbrance. You can have mechanics liens. There's all kinds of encumbrances out there. And so today, Sean, the question is, does it matter what title company you use when you close a real estate transaction? And if so, why?
Well, obviously, I'm going to say yes, 100%. Sure. That's what I do. Being in the business a long time, though, it does matter. I mean, you want to go somewhere where you have a reputable closer, you have reputable underwriters, you have a team that is going to see your transaction through. We're the third party, an unbiased third party in a transaction. And what we do is we cure those clouds or encumbrances or those judgments. When we issue a title policy, there's a lot more to it than just punching a button and submitting a title order and then getting back a title report. When that report comes in, hopefully it's crystal clear and there are no issues with it. But there are times where something comes across, be it an easement, be it a judgment, be it you mentioned a mechanics lien. One of the things we're seeing are airship problems, challenges. Where I'll give you, for example, we had a transaction a couple months ago that the seller, her husband had passed. They had no will, so everything looks well and fine. The realtor lists the property, brings in an executed contract. We start doing our due diligence on the title side, and learn that the deceased husband had 3 children.
Uh-oh.
So guess who is a part of that transaction? Because there was no will in place. So then we have to track down those 3 children, those 3 heirs, and they all have to agree to give the wife, their stepmom, either the whole proceeds of the transaction, or they get, the warranted. They're entitled to 25%. So that transaction never got to the closing table. But
you talk about an awkward Thanksgiving dinner. Hey,
yes.
Hey, stepmom. Hey, there's 3 of us out here, and wow. So you said that transaction never got all the way to the closing table, huh?
Never got to the table. They could never come to an agreement.
So what happens in a case like that? I mean, what happens to that house? It just sits there?
Well, she stays in the house, and eventually, her words were, they can have their percentage when I'm gone. So, obviously, like you said, that makes for an unhappy Thanksgiving or Christmas dinner. Yeah. A lot of tension involved with that. But, here's the flip side to that. Let's say you take that to a company who doesn't do their due diligence, or who says, I'm not chasing down these 3 heirs, because that happens. When I say you need a good closer, a good escrow officer, I'm not talking about one that can just explain the documents to you well. I'm talking about one that is willing to go the extra mile and to chase down all 3 of those heirs who had no relationship with the seller.
Sure.
From a previous marriage. But let's say they go forward and they close on that transaction. Well, then now your new buyer may be living in their house someday, and Sally Sue knocks on the door and says, "Hey, get out of here.
Yeah.
I own 25% of this house." So, that just opens up a whole nother bag and a whole other can of worms. But it could get pretty sticky.
Well, we my wife's father passed away, and we dealt with a situation where he left us a property. Or he left a property. There was no will, which is something that if I could give you one piece of advice, I don't care if it's on a napkin, I don't care what it is. Do your family a favor and put a will on paper, because all it does is create undue tension amongst family members in a time of great grief. The family needs to grieve and mourn the loss of a father or a mother, and then all these legal issues are thrown up by not having a will. But in this situation, the property that we were selling, we had an agreement on how it were to be. There was just 2 heirs, and so it was pretty straightforward there. But there was an easement that didn't get handled properly at some point down the line, and to this day, this is 5 years ago, and to this day, last week, I got a phone call from the guy that bought the house from us, and still dealing with this issue. And it all comes down to the title company that we used to close the loan didn't do their job. They transferred a property without clearing everything, and now it's created a problem for the new seller or the new owner that is been quite a challenge. And so it obviously there's tons of things to it. But in layman's terms, talk me through this. Like, for someone who knows nothing about real estate, what do you do as a title company? The executed contract. Zach buys a property. I've got my loan. I've got my deal. Here, it's 123 Easy Street. Here's the executed contract. What do you guys do? What is your job?
So we take the contract. We open up a title request. So we're submitting it to the title plant to pull title on it, to check the title out, to make sure.
And so when you say title, I just want to make we're talking. Let's talk to people that don't necessarily understand. The title is like a resume for the property, more or less. It's kind of So the history of ownership. Okay, continue.
So you have a deed. We want to make sure that deed is filed accordingly. Then we go and we search the property back. We make sure that there are no judgments, no liens, no clouds, no unknown, nothing on the title. And that doesn't mean when we first pull it that it's going to be clean the whole way. Just like the deal I was telling you about earlier, those errors surfaced throughout the transaction. Didn't come up on the pull because we didn't know anything about, there being other children from a previous marriage. But, in short, it's just ensuring that there are no clouds on your title, so that when we transfer and we file a new deed, you own that property. Nobody can come knocking on your door. Nobody can come claim that they have any percentage, whether it be you mentioned mechanics lien, whether it be a judgment. Those are all taken care of prior to closing. And sometimes they come up during the process, but that's, again, having a good qualified escrow officer that will do their due diligence. And I happen to work for one of the best, Katrina Lane. She will go through and she dots all of her I's, crosses all of her T's. She chases down to make, if there is a judgment, she gets it cleared. Or sometimes we'll have an underwriter that takes exception. I mean, I could go on and on and on. It is a long process. But in short, it is just ensuring that you are purchasing a property that is free and clear of any encumbrances, and we can pass clean title over to you.
So it's really, the whole point of the title company is to protect the buyer from any future issues. And so another thing that we'll talk about briefly is not all title companies' fee structures are created equal. And this is something that a lot of times when I was in the real estate business, as a consumer, you just accept the fees because it's just part of it. But as I went through the process with different title companies, those fees were structured differently. There were certainly some that were more expensive than others and cheaper than others, and so on and so forth. And so rate transparency and pricing is something you as the consumer have the ability to shop. And so not to dive into how all the fee structures are created, but pricing is something that they, as the consumer, should be conscious of. I mean, am I right?
Well, so title policies are regulated by the Department of Insurance. So there should be no difference in your title policy fees anywhere. Now, I mean, everybody may use a different tax cert,
doc
surveyor,
prep, I mean,
doc
all kinds
prep.
of stuff.
There are different fees, yes, that are involved in that. We have an interest in our doc prep company and in our cert company, so our fees are lower than average, I would say.
And that's what I was trying to get at is that your title insurance is going to be your title insurance.
Yes.
But like when you go to, XYZ Ford company or Ford dealership, their dealer prep fee might be a little bit different than, John Doe Hyundai dealership. And you do have the right to look at those and compare those and so on and so forth. And so, so help me with this part, because this is a very interesting part too. I'm a client of, John Doe, the realtor, and I know nothing about title companies. I don't know anything about, I just trust my realtor, right? I just trust my realtor. What are my rights as a home buyer if I say, no, John Doe, the realtor, I know you typically work with so-and-so over there, but I saw Sean Stevens on the MCAP home loan, Facebook page, and I really like that guy. What are my rights as a consumer to say I want to pick the title company that I choose?
So it says in the Code of Ethics that if you are paying for the title policy, you have the right to choose where you want to close the deal. Where we get lost today is, people are just trying to make it easy. If they're not trying to buck the listing agent. If the listing agent has XYZ title company on there, then typically the buying agent will write in XYZ title so that they don't cause any hiccups and trying to procure their buyer the property. I had one last week. We had this exact same conversation. She really wanted to close with us. She felt really comfortable there. She was a newer agent, and her first transaction she had didn't go well. She didn't have a good experience where she closed at. So she really wanted to bring her contract over to Fair Texas. And so my suggestion to her was, go ahead and write it up, put the company on there that's in the listing, and then as soon as you're executed, make an amendment and change the title company because you're paying for the title policy, so bring it on over to us. And that's exactly what she did. There was no hiccup in the deal. It doesn't work every time, but we understand and have a lot of loyal clients that work with us, and they work with us for a reason because we do a good job.
Sure, and that's so important. The big goal of what we do here on this channel is to educate the consumer and give the consumer the information they need to make a good decision for themselves and their family and their property and their interests. So, well, that's awesome, Sean. Thanks for stopping by, man. It's been great. Been great getting to talk to you. How, if people have some question about title or about this process, how do they get in touch with you?
So you can reach me on my cell, 214-535-0061. You're welcome to text me. I'll be happy to respond that way, or give me a call, leave me a message. I'll call you back if I miss you. You can also reach me at Shawn, SHAWN, at fairtexastitle.com. And I look forward to hearing from you.
And in the meantime, if you have any questions for us, or are there any topics or professions you'd like to see covered on our channel, please feel free to drop a comment below. We'd love to cover that for you. As always, you can reach me at 469-838-7926. I am Zach Walker, your business development representative for the MCAP Home Loans William Branch Group, and I'm so thankful you take your time to watch this channel each and every day. In the meantime, we love you guys so much. Hope you have a wonderful day. Go kill it this week. We'll talk to you very soon.